All right. Can you guys hear me? And you can see that. Okay, good. Just making sure. It's always interesting navigating this headset with glasses. I'm like, yes. All right. Well, before we get started, and we're recording this for the folks that could not attend today, and we'll get this posted up and I'm going to get out of this line of sight because there's this like sunbeam right behind me. Oh, looks like, there you go. All right. Aww, I love you. So, well, I'm going to take these off for the moment until I have to actually read. All right, thanks. So it's good to see everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for your time today. And so Prajna and I, though some of you already know, we kind of come as a set. We do our podcast together, so we talk about a lot of this stuff. And Coach Jesse and I have done this presentation last year with the Fit Body folks in Boise when we had the space there. The first thing I wanted to say is congratulations for making it through 3 weeks. You guys are doing unbelievably well. And I'm actually interested in hearing from each of you that are here in attendance, just like a 30-second, like, what have you discovered so far, and what are you struggling with? Okay, because one of the things that Praj and I talk about all the time, and we're pretty raw about this on our podcast, is, we're all struggling with something. And to think that the person next to you is not struggling with something because it looks that way is not appropriate. It's actually incorrect 100% of the time. We're all struggling with something. And, my husband once said this in a yoga teacher training. He said, if we all just shared our struggles and cried together, the world would be a better place. Because that really is the truth. If you think that there's something that's going on inside of you that nobody else is experiencing, you are 100% wrong. There is always somebody who has either gone through that, is going through that, or will go through that. Okay? So in this 3 weeks, what is it that you're learning, and what is it that you're struggling with? So who wants to kick us off? Kieran. Isn't that interesting?
Yes. And how the struggle is steps, like how my life is moving. I was like, okay, I'm doing 30 minutes, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. I'm not moving at all. Now I try to do it. So.
That's awesome. Congratulations. The lack of protein consumption, especially for women, is astounding. It's like, oh my God, sure I eat protein. No, you don't. So good. Thank you for kicking that off. Exactly.
I'll go next, but I could just say like ditto. Like saying, like the first day I was actually tracking steps, and especially like since I've been coming to Fit Body Boot Camp, I'm like, okay, like I'm active now.
Yes. I'm active now.
Yeah, I came home after work and I was like, I have 1,800 steps. Like,
holy shit. Right?
Get water. So I think like the awareness is really helpful, where I'm like intentionally like, I'm gonna go a long way, or I'm gonna,
Yes.
try to just like pace in between meetings or something.
I love that, Erin.
Just to like not be in such a hole when I get home, and then
Right.
like,
Then it's 10 o'clock at night, and you're like, damn it.
yeah, and
You're like, I gotta walk to Alaska.
Yeah, and then the protein also. I'm like, I really struggle with getting protein, and one of my questions is like, so is like the I get bought the protein powder, like, is that okay? Like not
Yes, it is.
foods, like
Yes,
sort
it
of
is.
stuff, but
Absolutely.
I just can't get that.
Absolutely. No, it is. I'm with you. What's so insightful about this challenge is the whole point of the challenge has very, very little to do with weight loss and muscle development and fat burning. It really does. Like, those are just the booty prizes that come as a result. It really is creating awareness because we think that we know, but we actually don't. And we actually have to put it down on paper in whatever form that is, whether it's, we're tracking the food or tracking steps or tracking our exercise or even tracking our thoughts. It's like, and remember, all of these things are part of the process. It's not like, this makes me a horrible person. Like, that's not the point. The point is like, oh, okay, like I'm learning something. Like, use yourself as the lab. That's lovely. Thank you, Erin. Who else? Anyone else want to offer something up? Yeah.
Well, now I'm tracking my protein, I feel like I am hitting it, so I have a problem but I feel like
It's kind of what?
a little bit low. Like I feel like I overeat protein, but I'm really struggling in the carb department.
Okay. Okay.
That's where I'm kind of struggling, and it's kind of like, I don't know.
Okay. Is there something in your mind about carbs?
I think so.
Yeah.
Correlate it with like,
Right.
not good for you.
Right, which is nonsense.
Yeah.
Nonsense, yes. And I get that. Like, there is a whole dialogue out there. Praj and I were talking about this the other day. And actually, our podcast that's coming out this coming Friday is all about eating for your body type and dispelling some myths. So tune into it. It's going to be a good one. But there is that, my generation, you're like young enough to be my child, but my generation, Gen X, it was, carbs and cardio and no fat. And it was like what we call the Snackwell generation. Remember Snackwells, the cookies? It was like, don't have any fat in it. It's like, it's got 10,000 grams of sugar, but no, there's no fat, And so there's just this dysmorphia that happens as a result. But carbs are a necessary part of your diet. You need them for active energy. And so a recommendation, just putting it out there, is that if you are going to have carbs, have it in the morning. Have your carbs in the morning, get the energy boost. Rather than hitting caffeine, hit some carbs, some complex carbohydrates, and boom, then come to the gym and work out. And then after you lift, carbohydrates within the first hour of after lifting. And then slow it down towards the end of the day. So if you're going to get it, front load it in the morning. Okay. Anyone else want to offer something up?
I think the water has been eye-opening.
Yes.
Especially seeing how much can go into how you sleep and how you
Yes.
drive throughout the day.
Yes.
Not to mention that you just might feel better.
Yes.
We're all bogged down with tea and sodas, and it's not what our body really needs.
Yep. I love that. Thank you for bringing up the water conversation. Becoming a part of the Gallon of Water a Day Club is a really cool club to be part of. If you feel like you've got digestive issues, energy issues, dry skin issues, acne, drink the water. The water will change everything for you. I actually had a client about a year ago who started drinking a gallon of water a day, and she's like, I'm not tired in the afternoon anymore. See, Starbucks makes money off of you being dehydrated, especially in the summertime. You go to Starbucks in the morning and you get, whatever it is that you get, and then they're like, hey, here's a treat receipt. Come back at 2 o'clock and get your dessert for half price, right? Because they know that 2 o'clock is also the time of day when everybody's energy dips. That's a natural circadian rhythm. And so what do people do? Oh my God, I gotta power through to 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. And so what do? They hit 3 shots of mocha, with whipped cream, and before you know it, they're walking out with something like this. It's actually 1,000 calories of dessert. It's not coffee. And then you go to bed like this, right? You're like lit up, and then you're like, I don't know why I can't go to sleep. Really? You're not sure. Okay. Drink the water. Good stuff. One more. Anyone else?
As a coach,
Yes.
I did not realize my protein intake was I knew it was low, but not as low as like actually seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then higher in my fats,
Mm-hmm.
because I do like peanut butter.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And then again, the water intake.
Right.
I thought I drank water, but not as much as I should be drinking, and how it's affected just me as a whole.
Absolutely. Everybody raise your glass. Take a drink.
Cheers.
Praj, anything you want to share?
Struggled with the same things across the board. Yeah. And again, just it is that awareness. And it's what this competition, it's what this challenge is all about. Is just like you said, it's about the awareness and figuring out what you need in your life, more, less. Yeah. And it's finding those tips and tricks to implement a lot of these things in your life. It's just something we don't think about.
recognize this, that as your life changes in multiple ways, and we're going to talk about this, your habits are going to evolve as well. Like right now, you're learning 6 weeks worth of habits that are great foundational things that hopefully you will incorporate and continue to do. But also knowing that there's, time of day, time of life, all of these different experiences. And so that's why we wanted to talk about, it's not just what you eat, but how you eat too. We're an interesting culture here in the States. And so things that need to be considered, and I'm going to put, you know what, you're so great. Please do. Please do. I can't see anything.
I know.
My arm isn't long enough anymore. It's like I can't see.
Body constitution type.
So body constitution type, everybody here has a different body constitution, okay? I think I've said this a million times. I'm never going to be 5'9" like Prajna. It's never going to happen, okay? She's also not going to have the amazing digestion it is that I have. Oh, it's really the truth. I have no problem with digesting and eliminating, right? She's just like, I can't.
I've pooped 3 times already. I'm working on 1.
I know. We go to races together, and she's like, rabbit pellets. I'm like, oh, things are good. Things are good. And so your body constitution type is going to be different, every single person, and that's an important thing for you to understand for yourself, so that you can then balance that out to maximize your digestion as much as possible. And we'll talk a little bit about that. One of the things that we actually have coming out next week is a body constitution test that we'll have on our website, and so we'll share that with you guys, and it'll give you results, and it'll give you some information, which is really, really interesting. So the next thing. Imbalances. So again, once you understand your body constitution type, you can understand what your tendencies are towards imbalance, and then things to correct it. So as an example, Prajna's tendencies tend to be that she gets dry and cold and constipated easily, okay? I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, which I am oily, hot, and pissed off all the time, okay? And Anita can attest to that as I drove by her this morning at 5,000 miles an hour, because that's how I drive, because I'm an intense person.
I'm the one who got the ticket.
Exactly. And I saw her car come in, I'm like, she is going to think I'm a nutbag. And it's the truth. I am. I'm absolutely crazy and super intense. And here it is. Sorry, folks. Sorry, not sorry. But also love hard as well. But that being said, and then there are body constitution types that have slow digestion and have... they have strong muscle constitution, but may have tendencies towards metabolic issues. So there's a variety of different body constitutions.
And so the imbalances come in where, so if I'm Vata and I'm dry, I'm cold, and then I go and eat some cold raw vegetables, I'm going to be constipated for days, because it's putting my body, I'm already in an imbalance, and that's putting me further over the edge. I need warm food. I need things warmed up all the time. So that's where the imbalances come in.
Or I need to chill out.
Yeah. Now, summertime's a little different, but it's still, I would say it's not much of a difference.
So that whole idea of what Prajna bringing up, the whole idea of seasonal eating is a really important factor to keep in mind. You should not be having strawberries from Ecuador in December. Bad idea. Bad idea. The next thing is age, okay? We have different phases in our life, 0 to 25, 25 to 55, 55 plus. Different things are happening in your body, digestively, metabolically, hormonally, in your life, and you have to embrace that. When you are 55 years old, you do not have the same body that you did when you were 25. It just doesn't work that way, and that is the beauty of it. And females, it's different than males. That's just how it is, okay? And embrace that part of it. Then there is season and time of year. Foods that are celebrated and available in the summertime or the spring are different than they are in the fall and winter. And we should embrace that. We should use those foods in order to maximize our digestion. The earth is giving us its abundance, Like, do that thing. I'm excited for the late summer, early spring peaches that come off of Prajna's tree. It's like, oh, it's gonna be juicy. And the thing is, but having the peach, in January, it's gonna have a different effect on your digestion. And then finally, we're gonna talk about time of day. When do you maximize your digestion so that you get the most energy out of it and you can burn and incinerate at the best times of the day as well. So it's really important. Oh boy, I can't see it today. Holy cow. Okay. So we're going to start out with constitution types. Okay, so some of you may have heard of these terms before: ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph. This is not working.
Let me just read it.
Please do.
Okay. Ectomorph.
Oh yeah, I can do that, right?
Do that one.
There we go.
This is when the body is lean and slender and tends to have less body fat and muscle. That's Vata.
So in our world, in the Ayurveda world, these terms, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, line up with ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. Okay, those are just Sanskrit terms, and we don't need to bother you with that, but just giving you an idea of what that means. So let's look at an ectomorph body. So Melissa, would you please stand up?
Yep. You be it.
Yes, you're it. So there it is. Long limbs, small bones. Okay? Yeah. That's it. There you go. The hills are alive. Listen, I did not mean to embarrass you, but she is absolutely 100% an ectomorph, and it's great. You have long legs and long arms, and that's amazing. And that is to absolutely be celebrated. So that is one constitution type. Okay. Then and Prajna, you can sit, lovely. Thank you so much. Prajna has the same type of body type, and so does Cochinita. Okay. And now Brielle, would you please stand up? Okay. So Brielle has a mesomorph body type. Okay. So mesomorph, this is when you have an athletic and strong body. It's also known as Pitta. And, that's it, girl. Show us the gods. That's it, look at that shit. Okay? And that body type is one that has a high ability to digest when when it's balanced, and also can put on muscle easily and can also take muscle off easily as well. Kind of the middle of the road. I share this with you. We're middle of the road people. It's like, if I need to gain weight, I will. If I need to lose weight, I can as well. Okay? All right. And then finally, our endomorph body type. Would you please stand up? Yeah, stand up. Excellent. So Erin here is an endomorph body type. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. She's got strong bones. Like, if you get kicked in the face with that leg, you don't have a face. That's just what happens. Like, strong structure. Like, Exactly, right. And so if Melissa and Erin got into an MMA match, Melissa's not winning. Okay? She's probably going to get a broken bone. That's probably what's going to happen. And I'm teasing very lightly here, of course. But we all have different body types. And so, embrace your body type. Be okay with it. Okay? You get one beautiful vehicle in this life. Why would you not celebrate it and use it to the maximum ability it is that you can in order to do great work in the world? That's what you're here for. I am never going to look like Kate Moss. I don't want to look like Kate Moss. Kate Moss looked like she was on cocaine. No.
She was.
And she was. She was. I'm sorry, Kate.
Yeah. And that's a big issue is because, we're trying to, so many women in this world are trying to look like something that they will never be able to be. And and you just
trying to teach our daughters that that's
Good.
not normal either.
Good.
just have to embrace that, this is the body I was given. I'm going to be the best body that I can be with what I'm given. But we're so wrapped up into, I want to look like this other. You can't. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. You're going to look like that version of yourself. So, and the media does not help at all. So one of the things that I think is really important, and we try to do this a lot here in Fit Body, we do this in the Academy. What I love about the coaching staff is that we're all different types. And everybody can relate. There's a coach for everybody, you know, and we can all relate, you know, and like, wow, like I'm never going to be able to do 30-inch box jumps like Mike can. It's never gonna happen. Or Jesse, how he just kind of floats through the air. It's like there's this cape, and then he just like, I'm like, how did he get over there? I don't know how that happened. You know, me with my fused spine and bad attitude, you know, it's like, why is this happening here? But understanding your constitution type, and so I think it's really important, and embrace it, absolutely embrace it. So here are some imbalanced tendencies based on these body constitution types. So our ectomorph friends tend to, this is, you know, the Prajna and the Melissas and the Anitas of the world, tend towards gas and bloating and with their digestion, and can be very cold and dry at times. That is the imbalanced tendency. It doesn't mean that that's going to happen all the time, but that is an imbalanced tendency. The endomorphs, or kapha body types, tend to have sluggish or heavy digestion, where there's swelling and it's a little bit of dampness. They're made up of, you know, going back for a second to the ectomorph. The ectomorph, you know, vata types are made up of predominantly air and ether. We have all 5 elements that exist inside of us. And so there is earth, water, fire, air, and ether, or space, okay? The vata body types tend to have more air and ether inside of them. That's why, like, their bones are a little bit thinner, skin gets a little bit drier. They tend towards gas and bloating because there's more of that inside of their constitution. You put Prajna on a plane going to India, she's not pooping for 10 days. Okay, it's just like, right, preach it, right, like you're on a like, well, because that compression in that plane is going right up that booty, and it's not coming out. Okay, it's a true statement, right? Okay, you know, Jesse can relate. That's why he drinks the tea. Okay, so like the tea, the CCM tea, there's a method to the madness. Okay, because it's warm and it has different herbs in it that is going to get rid of the gas and the bloating, so that things can move a little bit. Right, so exactly. There is no fun to be made. He is helping his digestion.
That's not clear.
No, I think it's great. It's also known as taco tea, because when you put cumin, coriander, and fennel together, it kind of tastes like tacos, right? That's what everybody says. We call it the taco tea. So everybody's like, what the hell are you talking about? It is known as the Kool-Aid. You can't leave here until you drink it. I'm kidding. So the endomorph body type, the kapha body type, is made up of mostly earth and water. So there's structure, but there also can be heaviness. You know, when you put earth and water together, it creates mud. And so there's heaviness that can happen in the digestion. And so they can eat and just have it kind of sit there and feel like, okay, it's taking me a little longer. You know, their metabolism tends to be a little bit slower, and they lean towards that imbalance. And then the pitta types, the mesomorph pitta types, which are made up of mostly fire and water, can lean towards having loose stools or even diarrhea. And they can be heated, and so we tend to be more hot and oily. And so spicy food in the middle of summer at 100 degrees is not a good plan. Okay, we don't alcohol, we don't caffeine, and because those are heating substances that can cause our digestion to get inflamed.
And vatas really shouldn't caffeine either.
Yeah. Oh no, don't do that. If you have a vata tendency, no caffeine. No, you are like a cracked out hoe. It's terrible. Terrible. Who's dry? Right. We just get pissed off, okay? And then they're just like, oh my god. It's just like, girl. No, oh my god. She tried a little bit of caffeine the other day to try to move some things, and I was like, girl, you need to go home and take a nap, because this is not okay.
I'm gonna do all the things. I'm gonna
mow my lawn, and then I'm gonna run to Alaska, and I'm gonna lift weights, and I'm just like,
just give it a couple hours.
Exactly. So let's consider age with all of this. From 0 to 25, we are in the growing years. Okay, everything. This is the earth and water time. This is like, you know, think of a child that is just coming into the world. They're like, oh my god, I have a body, and I'm like moving, and I have limbs, and all this kind of stuff. And even up until 25, you're still learning. You're still like figuring out who it is that you are. Your body is still moving in a direction of development. You know, your hormones are still developing. You know, for the most part, women with their menstrual cycle, you've only had your menstrual cycle for maybe 12 or 13 years at that point in time. And so you're still in that developmental stage. Men, you know, their hormones are going through their own cycle as well. And, you know, there is a menstruation period, believe it or not. Like every 6 weeks, there's a hormonal shift with men. For those of you that have male partners, just be in your house every 6 weeks and they get a little moody. And so it does exist for them as well. And post 25, this is when our hormones really start to take a shift. So, you know, once you hit 25, especially as a woman and as a male, there's a huge hormonal shift. And you start at that point in time also to lose 8% of your muscle every year after the age of 25. 8% of your muscle every year after the age of 25 if you are not consistently working on it.
I was told once you have a 25-year warranty. After that, it's all about what you do. The rest
It is
of your life.
choices. It is how you eat, the lifestyle choices it is that you make. From the ages of 25 to 65, this is what we call the heating years. This is when all of the action is happening. This is like, you know, Mission Impossible. We have a career, we're getting married, we're having 4 kids, we're, you know, like, it's a thing, right? Like it's a thing. And you know, you're buying a house, you're traveling, you know, you might start taking care of other siblings or older family members. There's a lot that's happening there. Going to college, maybe switching careers, maybe getting divorced, maybe having a starter marriage. You know, whatever the case is, there's a lot of shifts that are happening during that time. So there's a lot of heat that's going on during that period of time. And then from 65 years and above, it's the drying years. This is when, like, you know, retirement happens, or we start to aspire towards retirement. We have more space in our life. You know, by 65, your kids are probably raised. If you're having children, they're out the door doing their thing, and now you have more time and available space for yourself. So we grow, we heat up, and then we start to dry out. And that's exactly what happens with our digestion in our bodies. You know, we're super juicy and lubricated until 25, and then we're like all really heated up and we're getting going in that middle section of our life. And then that we start to, for all intents and purposes, burn out and we start to get dry. And so what's super interesting about this is that what you do between the ages of 25 and 65 are going to have a major impact on what happens 65 plus. So, the ladies in the room, if you're on birth control, get off of it. Look at that face. She's like, oh no. I'm just putting it out there. These are just suggestions, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Guys, if you're drinking heavily, stop drinking. And that goes for the ladies too. Nope. Because you don't want to be 65 years old with super dry skin, bad digestion, completely neurotic. Like, no. You know, with losing 8% muscle at a very, very rapid rate. Okay? So these are just things to consider. Yes,
Just
Justin?
want to add on to that too.
Yes, Coach?
One of the big keys is muscle mass is the X factor for quality of life.
Bingo.
As you get older, and particularly your legs.
Yes.
The stronger your legs are, the more muscle mass you have, your legs are higher quality of life, you're going to have the longer you're going to live.
That's
And
exactly
if you
right.
don't think about it, you talk to folks who are older, right? Biggest key for them is quality of life. We're all going to get there one day. So you really want to plan now for that and make sure you're doing that. So you see us pushing out a lot in class, drinking, eating protein, doing those things, that's why. That's one of the big reasons why.
Thank you for that, Jesse. Appreciate that. He's right. Strong legs, strong life. And just think about that. How many of you know, somebody 65 plus, probably in their early 70s, falling, breaking a hip, etc. Like, we have come to believe that that's just the default thing that happens. And it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be. So this whole thing is, how are we living our lives? Okay. Then it's the season and the time of year. Okay. So each of the periods of the year have certain components to it that we need to take into consideration as it relates to our digestion and our food choices. In the fall, we have a tendency towards dryness. Just think about that. The leaves are falling from the trees. We see it in nature. Things are getting a little bit drier. The wind picks up, all of that kind of stuff, etc. So during the fall season, if in order to counteract any imbalances or food cravings that we have, you want to move away from eating dry foods in the fall. So like popcorn and chips and even nuts to a certain degree. Unless you are warming things up and lubricating them with good oils and things like that, you want food that is warm, wet, and lubricated in some fashion. Okay? So it's super important that that happens in the fall. Celery and carrot sticks in the fall is just going to create a very rough environment in your digestion. And what happens is that your metabolism then is slowing down because it is trying to work overtime in getting that to move. And so it's putting all of its energy into that situation and less of its energy into building muscle and all those kinds of things. In the winter, things are very cold. Warm it up. If you want fruit, bake it. Baked apples, baked pears. Bake your fruit. Always having warmer meals that tend to be a little bit heavier because they will go for longer periods of time and it will keep you warm and lubricated during that period of time. In the spring, things tend to be a little bit more wet because we get the rains, there's more moisture in the air, etc. And so we're starting to move towards eating things that are a little bit drier in the springtime, because we have that constant wetness that's happening seasonally. And then in the summertime, when things are super hot out there, you want to cool it down. You want to have more of like cooling bitter greens, things like that are going to keep things cool. Does any of this make sense? Does it feel logical? I mean, it's kind of logical, right? Raj, anything?
I mean, it depends on your constitution too.
Yes.
Like for in the fall, Vatas, you're going to be the worst.
Ectomorphs.
In the worst situation.
It's hardest season for you.
If you don't warm up your food. I mean, the other two, yeah, it's going to affect them too, but you're going to be at the worst. And in summertime, same thing. Like hot food for Sop is going to be the worst during summer.
Yeah. Can't do it.
For me, it's not going to affect me as much. So it also depends on your body type.
Constitution type. So. Thank you for that. Time of day. So here we go. We have 6 different periods throughout the day. The whole goal is to maximize your digestion. So the day is broken up into 6 4-hour increments. From 6 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning. From 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And then 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. And then we wrap it back around 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., and 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So what happens during these periods of time? From 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., we call this the endomorph time. This is when the endomorphs, this is a great time for building muscle and structure. So for all of you who come to work out in the morning, yay. This is the best time for you to work out in the morning. This is when the structure of your body needs service. It is when you can build muscle and bone density and increase your cardiovascular health the most as part of your hormonal and circadian rhythm. So working out in the morning, and I know that's not necessarily available to everybody and not always desired, but it is the absolute best time to work out. Then we have from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., this is the mesomorph time or the pitta time where we are working a lot. This is when our brain is really working. And for those of you that work 9 to 5, goodbye, lovely. For those of you that work a 9 to 5, you have, this is when you're maximizing your brain power. This is probably when you're on your computer, you're having meetings, you're sending the emails and doing the things. And so we want to make sure that we have serviced the body early in the morning between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. and have gotten a good grounding meal so that when we get to 10 to 2, we're operating maximally. our brain can function at its highest. And what's also important from the 10 to 2 time is that is when you should have your largest meal of the day, which is lunch. Lunch should be your largest meal of the day because it will carry you through the rest of the day. And from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon is when the sun is at its highest peak. You have to think of your digestion as like a little fireplace. That when you put food in, you want the fireplace to burn at an even rate so that you get the nutritive value out of your food, and then you burn off the things that you don't need, and you can digest it and eliminate it very efficiently. So having your largest meal of the day between 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the afternoon not only maximizes your brain power, it will also help prevent you from having those energetic dips in the afternoon. If you have an energetic dip in the afternoon, you didn't have a large enough lunch. So make sure that you eat your largest meal of the day between 10 and 2 o'clock in the morning. And if you're working out at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're going to be hungry by 10 o'clock. So, right? You're starving. I mean, I wake up starving, but that's just my constitution. So, and then from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 6 o'clock in the afternoon, this is the time of the day when we are the most reflective. This is our ecto time of the day. This is when there's more, air and space. This is also when our brain really starts to get tired. The reality is that the whole idea of like the 40-hour work week is bullshit. We really, you're functioning 5 to 6 hours with maximum creative brain power. Anything after that, you're done. So between 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the afternoon, drink water. Drink water, a lot of it. Drink tea. Have an extra bit of protein, all of that kind of stuff. Stay away from the carbohydrates because it'll spike your glycemic index, and then you'll start to crash and you actually won't really be that ready for dinner. Believe it or not, 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock is the best time for you to have dinner. We always thought like, oh, my grandparents, isn't that cute? They eat at 4 o'clock. They were onto something. Right, I'm all about that. Eat at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You will sleep very well because you'll give yourself, at least 2 hours to 3 hours of a buffer before you have to go to sleep. And so the having between 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the afternoon, your supper stands for supplemental. It's not a huge meal, it is a supplemental meal. Culturally, in the United States, we have that as the largest meal of the day. Not a good idea. It sits on your gut very heavily, makes you feel super tired, and it's also, with the heavier that we eat at night, the more we crave other things like sugar and alcohol, which are basically the same thing. And then it's like, oh, I'm just going to have a glass of wine at night. Like, we've created this culture of heavy dinner, and you know what, I'm gonna relax with a glass of wine, which turns out to be like a half a bottle of wine. Seriously, true statement. True statement. I had a patient once who I asked, we do an intake, and I asked her, how much alcohol do you drink? She's like, a bottle a night. And I was like, whoa, okay. So if you think about that, a bottle a night, no judgment, but yeah, judgment. A bottle of wine a night, 5 glasses in that. That's 150 glasses in a month. That's 30 bottles a month. And thank you, it's expensive. But I can't pay for the gym because the gym's too expensive. You just spent $300 on wine. And I'm being cheap, I'm talking about $2 chuck, like $10 bottle of wine. Most people are not drinking a $10 bottle of wine, they're drinking 20 plus. So that's like $600, that's $600 a month. Multiply that by 12 months, that's $7,200 a year. You can put that in your IRA. You can send a kid to college.
Tax income.
Right? Thank you. Just saying. Okay. And the reason why we want to have dinner, supper, between 2 and 6 is because the largest digestive time of the day starts to come later on, and I'll explain. Between 6 and 10 at night, this is when you definitely want to start winding your day down. Get to bed by 9:30, so you are asleep by 10 at the latest. The rule of thumb is that for every hour of sleep you get before midnight, it's worth 2 hours after midnight. So if you get to bed by 10 o'clock, you're 4 hours ahead of the game. Okay? Then, between 10 p.m. and 2 o'clock in the morning, what'd you say?
Said my parents are on to something with the 9 p.m.
Dude, I got a big Z over my head by 9. Done. You know, but when, you know, and that's the thing, it's all about perspective. You know, it's like, well, why do you go to bed at 9 o'clock? Because I'm up at 3.
Yeah.
You know, by the time my day comes to an end, by the time Praj's day comes to an end, by the time Coach Jesse's day comes to an end, we've put in 15 hours. Nothing good happens after 10 o'clock. I tell that to my cat, but he still refuses to come inside. Son of a bitch. He's down the street, partying up. He's totally pimping. I got a little tracker on him. He's like, hey. He's like P. Diddy. No, he's not. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, that was too soon. It was too soon. I'm sorry.
That's a bad example.
I know that was a really bad example. I'm sorry. My cat is, for those of you that are listening to this presentation, my cat is not P. Diddy. Okay. Anyway, I digress. So between 10 p.m. and 2 o'clock in the morning, the reason why I want to get to bed before 10 o'clock is because the largest digestive time happens in that 4-hour period. And this is the thing, if you are not sleeping, if you are active at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, you're missing your digestive time of the day. And then what happens is that your body can't go through the process because you are in an active state. You are not sleeping so that the gut can do its thing. And when it doesn't do its thing, it then creates toxicity in the body. And then you wake up with a toxic hangover.
Start on drinking alcohol past 10.
Drink alcohol past 10, no, not a good plan. It's just not a good plan. And you're hungover. I mean, anybody wake up the next day, you know, like you ate heavy the night before and you didn't really get good sleep, you feel like crap the next day. You're just kind of like, it's sitting there and it's heavy and and then you go through your day kind of half in a coma. It's like terrible, right? We could do that when we were 20. We really couldn't, but we thought we could. You know, now we can't. And then one day you grow up and you're like, I can't do this anymore. It's like, I can't do that. So all you young bucks in the room, believe me, you'll hit 30 and you'll be like, that was a bad idea. Brielle's like, do not look at me. She's like, I'm just getting started at that time. And then finally we go into the last part of the day, which is from 2 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the morning before we rise. And that is actually, we're setting ourselves up in that night process so that between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. we have our deepest sleep. That's when we get into that delta REM sleep, which is really we want to. And so for a lot of ladies who are going through perimenopause, menopause, etc., that's also the time that if you are not maximizing your digestion, if you're not getting to bed before time, that's when you wake up. So notice that. It's just something to notice. We also have this whole idea of taste. How do you maximize your digestion and really choose good foods? We have 6 different tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, and astringent. We all know what sweet and sour are like. We know what salty is like. We know bitter. Pungent is spicy, and astringent is drying. Foods that are drying, like honey, is a drying food. Okay. We often think of it as a sweet food, and it does have some sweetness to it, but it's really a very drying food. Beans are dry.
For honey, if you think about like when you have a cold, they usually have you put honey in, tea or something like that.
Right. To get rid of the mucus. Mm-hmm. So, in your food, have all of these tastes in your food. You will maximize your digestion. You will get into a good rhythm, and I can promise that you're not going to hold on to any excess metabolic waste. So, when you're making and designing your food, have something sweet in it: sour, salty, bitter, pungent, and astringent. Mix those spices up there. It'll be really good for you. And each of these tastes actually have very specific effects on your digestion and your tissue development. So as an example, sweet, it decreases digestion, and it strongly tonifies all of your tissues. So what does that mean? When you have too much sweetness, it creates a heaviness, and it decreases your digestive power. That's why, like, people who eat a lot of candy, they really have a lot of difficulty with digestion. And as a result, it strongly tonifies things, so it will create excess in your body, excess weight. Okay. Sour also, it increases your digestion, and it mildly tonifies everything. Salty increases your digestion and mildly tonifies your blood plasma and reduces bone marrow and your nervous system. Bitter decreases, pungent increases, and astringent decreases. And these all have different effects on the tissues of your body. So if you are looking at gaining muscle and reducing fat, the reason why we want to incorporate all of these tastes in there is because some are going to increase muscle and some are going to decrease fat. So you want to have the mix in there so it's constantly happening in your digestive power. And then it has all of these different effects on the tissues. And here are 15 general guidelines for healthy eating. Okay, do you want to read these?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, number 1, food should be taken in proper place.
Proper place. What does that mean? Going to a noisy bar with a lot of television screens and a loud band with a bunch of people who are screaming and yelling is not proper place. Food is meant to be an experience. It's meant to, like, you're meant to connect with your food, to be grateful for it. And being in a space that is like noisy and all this very disjointing causes distraction inside the body. And you can tell that. Like, if you ever go to a restaurant and like things are like rushed and there's an energetic that's in the restaurant that doesn't feel calming and soothing versus restaurants that you might go to that it's just like, wow, this is a very comfortable space. This feels really nice. The food is very fresh. The chef was obviously happy.
Which leads to the second one, eat food prepared by loving hands.
That's right. So if
Energy.
It is. You're taking in, different energy. So the person who's preparing your food, like, think about the food that they serve in schools. Might as well be in prison.
Yep. A lot of kids would say they are.
Loving hands.
Yeah. Say grace or have gratitude before meals.
Absolutely. Be grateful for that. Like, wow, like, this was grown here locally. Or like, Raj has an amazing farm at her house. And it's like, she gives me all of the lettuces. And I'm like, God, I'm so grateful for that. It tastes so good. Be grateful for that.
Food should be eaten without distraction.
Get off your phone.
Big one. Big
Stop watching TV.
Big one.
It's a huge one. There's no reading, there's no TV, there's no social media. Eat the food, be with the food. Okay? Because when you are distracted, you're not paying attention to what it is that you're putting in your body. And two things will happen. You're going to aggravate your digestive system or you're going to overeat. A lot of you are learning that when I actually have to track my food, you're being mindful. Distraction, you cannot hold more than one thought at a time inside of your brain.
It kind of leads to this next one. Food should be taken with a proper frame of mind.
Yeah. If you're angry, don't eat. If you're feeling emotional, don't eat.
If you're stressed, don't eat.
Don't eat. Just like drink some water, take a breath, take a nap. Do that. When you eat when you're stressed, your inflammatory markers go up. And then in addition to the food, your body's going to hold on to that because your inflammation is up and it's in a fight or flight state. So you can't metabolically process, and then you actually start to dehydrate yourself. Stress will kill you.
Eating when you're driving? Bad idea. Food should be chewed until there is an even consistency.
Yes.
What's that?
We are the shuttle of guzzle culture. Drive-through? Don't drive-through. some snack at the gas station. No. You don't fuel up where you fuel your car. Don't do that. Please don't.
Food should be warm.
We always cook food. Now in the summertime there's a little bit of room because it's naturally hot outside, but all of the other seasons, the reason why we cook food is because it's pre-digested. Raw food is very difficult to digest. Very difficult to digest. So when you cook it, it's pre-digested so that when you do eat it, it's very efficient.
Click.
Yep.
No.
There.
This is our world with technology. I'm like, what do I do? Food should be taken that is oily or moist.
Yes. We want oil, we want moisture, we want it to be lubricated. It makes it much easier to eat and digest. It's also fantastic for your skin and for your gut.
Food should not have opposite potencies.
Opposite potencies. So potency, and we'll provide a little bit of a follow-up on this, but you don't want things that are going to be counterintuitive. Like, I'll give you an example, and we're going to send out a food combination situation. Real has that with food combinations. There's certain food combinations that we shouldn't have. Eggs and cheese, the classic American omelet, terrible for you. So they have opposite potencies, heavy and light, that just cause confusion with your digestive system. So we're going to send out a handout that will give you some information about what are proper food combinations and what are things that you should avoid.
Only a small amount of liquid should be taken during a meal.
When you're eating, do not drink.
Really?
Yes. You want to chew your food as much as possible so that you create liquidity inside of the mouth versus guzzling it down to get food down. We do that a lot because water, when it's cold and you have large amounts of it while you're eating, hits the gut. And when it hits the gut, it will cause a variety of digestive problems. So what we want to do is that when you're having your meal, if you need something to drink, have some, like a half a cup of water at room temperature, no ice water. We do not do ice in our water. We don't drink cold water. It's either room temperature or warm. And the reason for that is that it helps with keeping the digestive fire going in a really nice way. Cold water is like throwing water on a campfire. You throw water on a campfire, you're going to have nothing but ash, which is toxic inside of your system. So.
And we're one of the only, well, not only, but we're a country that does that.
Ice water is like the
If
first
you've
thing
been
you get when you sit down at a table.
If you've been to like Europe or something like that, they don't do that.
Right, because everybody is inflamed.
Yeah.
Inflammation is a huge issue in our culture. A lot of people are carrying around 20% of their body weight in just inflammation. You start changing your eating habits, and when you sleep, it's a game changer.
Food should be taken with self-confidence.
Yes. Be confident in the food that you eat. If you are not confident in it, do not eat it. Do not eat like the mystery meat. Don't do that. Okay. I'm not quite sure what that is. Don't ever get 50% off sushi. Don't do that.
Chinese buffet.
Right, the Chinese buffet.
Stop it.
No Chinese buffet. Like, if you cannot identify what it is by looking at it, do not eat it. If you're looking at an ingredients box and there's like yellow number 5 and guar gum, do not eat that. Okay, don't do that. Okay?
And you should start looking because it's in a lot of
It's
stuff.
in a lot. Start looking at your food labels. It's fascinating. And it's fascinating what those food labels look like for the same exact product in the United States versus like the UK. Unbelievable. The food companies have a vested interest in poisoning you. They have a vested interest in that because it puts you in the pipeline. Oh, okay, we feed them this stuff, we get them hooked on sugar, salt, and fat. Then they get sick over time. And then guess what? The same food companies, Nabisco, and Kellogg are also making pharmaceuticals. What do you know? Now, everybody's got diabetes. Everybody's got cancer growth. Everybody's got cardiovascular disease. And guess what? We've got a pill to help you out.
And some of you probably already know this, but the owners of the food companies used to be the owners of the tobacco companies. So, if that tells you anything.
Right,
Yeah.
we just want food companies.
Yeah.
Bayer was a vested partner in tobacco companies. You haven't seen the movie The Insider? Has anybody seen that with Russell Crowe? Go rent it this weekend. The
Yep.
Insider with Russell Crowe, all of the tobacco companies.
Yep.
You're like, oh my God. And they just moved over to food.
Eat until you're 75% full.
Yes, this is one of the reasons why we don't eat while we're distracted. So you can actually judge when you're like, okay, I feel this. And that's usually about 15 to 20 minutes in if you're eating slowly. So no shoveling, guzzling, no distracted, because I need till you're 75% full. And you're like, okay, I'm going to push this way.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
We got barbecues coming up. You know, those things happen for all. How do you navigate that for 75%?
Bring the food to the barbecue that you yourself will eat and share it.
What about you before?
You can eat before, but if you feel like you might be tempted, eat a little bit before and then bring whatever it is that you would like to share that you know that you need. It's a great, thank you for bringing that up. It's a great thing to think
That's a
about.
question too.
Yes, sir.
Just as a coach, but also just for your shame is a big one for a lot of people. They're like, well, if I bring my own food, I'll feel better. People are making fun of me for this. What do you say to that?
I say that I'm sharing this with everybody because I have a vested interest in you being happy and healthy.
It's a tough one, but I've walked through that, and you just start to deal with that kind of blowback of like, yeah, I'm here, and I'm here for you. I'm not here for the food. I'm here to hang out with you, because we've made so many things about, please have this food, and I know that it's a labor of love for a lot of people. And if you start, yeah,
I mean, in India,
Yeah.
you're always getting food.
Get together is around food, and if the food is not that healthy, then you cook
yeah,
in Indian way.
Yep.
Most of the times.
yeah.
It's a big struggle.
Mhm.
People take it so seriously if you
Oh.
say no.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They take it personally.
Yeah.
Right. And that's going to require a certain amount of resolve. That's going to require you being around the right people that are going to help you. You know, that's why we're here. Like, every single person here is on a journey. Like, lean on each other. That's the point. Like, be in the community. Like, hey, I'm struggling with this. I'm going to go to this thing. Can you help me out? Can you come with me? You know, etc. Like, get your posse. Who you become goes right back to who it is that you hang around with. And like, there's going to be some hard no's, and that's okay. You have to put yourself first, because guess what? At the end of the day, if you continue to cater to what other people need or what they want, you are going to be a pawn for them. Your health is going to decline. Are they going to pay your medical bills when you're sick? No. No is a complete sentence. Use it. And there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. Don't you want to be around for your kids?
Yep.
Don't you want to be around for your parents? And most importantly, don't you want to be around for you? Why would you not take care of yourself? And if somebody gives you pressure around that, say, you know what, I'm trying to live my best life right now. This has nothing to do with you. This is my life. And guess what? If they can't handle it, well,
I know what you're gonna say.
I'll refrain from the word that I would use in polite company. Don't care. Do not care. Once you adopt that attitude, things change. Because most of the time, the reason why people apply that pressure is because you are reflecting back to them something they see in themselves that they don't like,
And they don't want to do or can't do.
that they can't do. You're welcome, love.
And you know, at the beginning we talked about awareness. Like, with that awareness comes kind of that great responsibility of, I am now becoming aware, and it's going to get uncomfortable
It's gonna get
with
nasty.
that awareness.
Like country music at Fit Body Weekend. That's how nasty and uncomfortable it gets. And she enabled it, and I'll call her out on our next podcast publicly. We're gonna have words. He started it, Mike advocated for it, and she enabled it. We're done here. Don't think I forgot. Don't think I forgot. Okay? Don't think.
Won't be the last time.
I know.
Doors open, doors open.
Jesse just comes to my face, he's like, it's getting uncomfortable, isn't it? Like, I hate all of you.
We did have a couple more, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
you're fine, because I know we need to wrap it up.
Oh, shoot. When can I go back?
It was rest after meals,
Yes, rest after meals.
and then make sure that food is fully digested. So give some time in between meals before you eat again, which during the holiday season.
So one of the things as far as rest is concerned, you can also do, there's a couple things you can do. You can do rest where you can enable your digestion. After you eat, lay on your left side for 15 minutes. That is the descending colon side, so it moves the food from the ascending cross-transverse down to the descending colon side and will enable elimination. So 15 minutes laying on your left side. And if you work in an office, just crawl under your desk. It's been done. It's been done. Or go for a 10 to 15 minute walk afterwards. That will help with insulin sensitivity so that you know that you are full sooner. And that becomes part of the rotation. So, what was the last one?
Just wait between meals.
Yeah, wait
3
between
hours.
3 to 4 hours between meals. And then finally, some food modules. And we don't have to go through these because I know we do have to wrap it up, but we'll post this as a PDF in the VIP Facebook group, so you're welcome to download it and print it. And then what we will do, let me just